Hi, my name is MJ and welcome to this tutorial. We're going to be creating this gorgeous look. Now, I always start with eyes if you are unaware because I like to be a little messy sometimes and I like to work quickly on my eyes. So in the crease, I went ahead and I started with a medium brown just to kind of lay down a transition shade, as you would call it. If you're curious of what makeup items I am using, I will list all of them down in the description box or description area of the video so you'll know. But just keep in mind, you don't have to use the same products as me. You just have to find the same colors, and these colors are not going to be anything unique or out of this world. We're just going to kind of play in some browns, some shimmer shades. So we basically just continue to work that through the crease until you're satisfied. You're going to want to work that until you have as much pigment as you want and it's smooth and there are no harsh lines. I do like to make sure I use a really big fluffy brush. So that's what you'll see me using here because I don't want to apply too much pigment to the point to where it's really hard to blend out. So I'm actually going in with a light hand and slowly but surely kind of building up this pigment and colorway until I'm satisfied. Now on to the next step and shade. I did go in with a slightly darker brown, more of a chocolate brown, and I focused the bulk of the initial impact of color on the outer corner as I slowly start to blend and work that shade into the crease and the outer third of the lid as well. And you'll see as you continue to watch, as I continue to kind of do the same motion. Pack on outer corner and kind of drag and blend that color into the crease of the eye and on the outer third of the lid. Now working with the same color, I did switch to not a blending brush. I'm using a shader brush that has more of a rounded tip because I wanted to have a little bit more control and be a little more precise with the placement. The same shade, I'm just simply moving it to the inner third of the eye and lightly dusting it over the center because I do know that I'm going to cover the lid anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just kind of spreading the shade evenly over the inner third and lid, just covering the lid with that shade. Now with this, what I did was I grabbed a very fluffy brush and I just went in with that first shade and kind of lightly tapped, not too much pigment, barely anything on it, and just kind of brushed on the edges to make sure there were no lines of demarcation. Now for this shimmer shade that I use, it's a really soft, it's not very reflective. It is also like a dark chocolate tone or shade of brown. And it kind of has a satin finish and it's really pretty when the light hits it, but it doesn't have too much sparkle or bling to it. It's just really pretty when the light hits it. And obviously I'm applying this with a finger, and later here in a moment you will see that I will eventually pick up a shader brush and go ahead and tap the outer corners and the outer lid and the inner lid with that same shade, just to make sure I have even distribution of that shade over the lid. Now going back in with a fluffy blending blush with no new product and kind of making sure those edges are blended. Now we're going to start on the face because the eyes are done. We are blending out the primer right now, but I do want to apologize because I thought I had recorded me doing my eyeliner or my wing, and I did not. I used the darkest shade in my palette, which is a deep dark chocolate brown, and a brush, and that's how I created that wing. I will make sure that I record that part and show you guys in a future video, but I do apologize for not filming that. I promise I thought I did. Now, after allowing that primer to sit for about 1 to 2 minutes, I do like to go in and set that with a loose setting powder. I just like to use a big fluffy powder brush and lightly dust the setting powder all over my face until I feel like it is evenly distributed, or not, but really focusing on my T-zone because those are the areas where I need it the most. Okay, so now I go ahead and start with concealer. I do put 2 different colors of concealer. The first concealer I apply is skin toned or close to my skin toned, and then I go in with a concealer just under the eyes that is a few shades lighter than me. Now, I do want to mention that I do not start with foundation so that I use less of it, because I've learned over my years of doing makeup that less is more for me and how I like for my makeup to look and wear. So as I do my makeup, you will notice that I only put foundation really like on the lower half of my face and on my forehead, and kind of mix and blend it into whatever cream products I laid prior to getting to that step. So I guess it's kind of similar to underpainting in that way. Yeah. But after I do my concealer, I do go ahead and apply my contour or bronzer, whatever your preference is. I prefer bronzer. So I bronze and then I go ahead and blend that out because I do allow my concealer to kind of sit while I'll do this. And then I'm going to go back in after I've blended my bronzer stick to my satisfaction and how I want it to look and melt into the hairline and into the skin, because it's important. You don't want your face to look like a mask. You just don't. So the way you prevent that is you blend that bronzer into the hairline, okay? Blend it into the hairline. Otherwise, there is a clear line of demarcation and your face will literally look like a mask. I've seen it so many times and I'm like, girl, don't do that. You know, or person, because you know our boys wear makeup sometimes too, and that's fine. But yes, let's go ahead and get this blended in. And this whole time, like I said, I'll return to my concealer when I'm done and pleased with how this bronzer is mixed. I mean blended. You know what I mean. Now on to blending out my concealer. I do start with the darker shade at the bottom and kind of work that into the areas that I want it. And then thank you so much for watching, and to see the rest of this video, go ahead and meet me over on my Patreon. It is linked in the description box. Bye!